I have had to admit that I need saving. On that December morning, just before noon, I remember her face in that very moment. Lying there in bed as she quietly passed from this life into what was beyond it. No fanfare or drama. She just breathed, and then she didn't. Just quiet, just peace. In the width of one breath, everything changed for me. One breath here, the next breath hereafter. That is what makes up life and death. The moments that I spent with my mom were precious, and there were so many of them. The stories, the conversations, the meals, the trips, the funny stories and moments, the things she would say and the jokes we would play on each other, the concerts and the movies and the plays, all the times we would sit in her living room and just talk. But I no longer have access to those. That's what people never tell you about the real life-giving stuff you lose when someone you love dies. You lose the part of you that only they knew. You lose some of your story. It simply dies. My mom was the only one there with me during some of those special times. And now that she's gone, there's no one to go to help me relive or revisit or remember them when I want to. There is no one to help fill in the gaps of my memories. No one to give me the pieces of my life that belonged to only the two of us. One of the great things about my mom and having people who love you and who have been alongside of you for a long time is how they can surprise you. How when you are with them, they can dig out a story or unveil something about you that you had totally forgotten about or had never known at all. My mom would do that all the time, just tossing off a random memory that allowed me to see myself through her eyes. It was like having a small lost part of you suddenly and unexpectedly return to you. As much as I miss my mom, I miss the me that she knew too. I grieve the loss of our shared story. The part of those days that exists outside of my memory is now dead and buried. The reality hits me of how much of me is gone too. I grieve the loss of myself as well, even though I'm still alive, and I hate that. Just as sure as she isn't coming back, neither are the parts of my story, because she was their co-owner. Well, those experiences form me, and rest in the deep confines of my heart in ways that will certainly transcend my memories, the painful gaps that will still be there in what I lose without her eyewitness testimony. There is a reality that hit me little by little as I grieved, brutal truths that I had probably known a lot longer, but that I couldn't wrap my brain around long enough to claim as my own. Maybe it was my brain's way of protecting itself and me from taking in too much sadness or grief at once. I feel like my life won't get any better. That's not to say I won't feel better, or the sadness won't pull away a little, or that there won't be some really great moments, because there will. There will be many, I hope. I know that I will continue to laugh and eat wonderful food and be moved by music and film and art. I'll travel and create. I'll spend quality time with those who I love and adore. I'll feel moments of love and great content. I know these life-giving moments will come, but my life simply will never be as good as when my mom was in this world. It will never be better than it was before she left. No matter who or what I add to my journey or what victory or success my life brings, they will never replace the part that is gone, the part shaped like her. When you lose someone close to you, you learn to make peace with it, with the cruel subtraction that life delivers. You realize there was a time now in the past when your family was whole, and no matter what the future brings, it will always remain less than. But you adapt, you cope, and you deal with it. You do the daily tasks that you need to do, and everything that you did before. Now it's just a reaction to damage. This won't be the last time I grieve for someone I love. When that day does come, I'll look back and remember these days and the times that I was a little bit closer to whole. Part of you does die when someone you love passes away, and the unique part of you that they have taken with them will both rest in peace.
Erik, that was beautiful. Beautiful.
Thank you.
And you know what? I understand why you didn't read that at your mom's service.
No.
I understand it because this is more like a piece you'd write in a magazine, in an article,
It's a tribute
to help
to
other people, and a tribute.
to
Right.
your mom. Yeah.
What you did was perfect.
Thank you.
It really, really was.
Yeah.
And this is a depressing time of year for a lot of people. And so I thought that we would give out the National Suicide Hotline because that's a biggie. Like, I'm on antidepressants. I have no shame saying that. I'm on 3 different ones. And I have been for a long time.
Of course.
Yes, thank you, Erik.
That's a big piece of your heart.
But I just want to say that there's no stigma to that.
And death isn't easy.
And death isn't easy.
That's a part of depression. And
Even
part
sickness. Even somebody who
Yeah.
might have cancer during this time of the holiday season.
Yeah.
But anyway, that number to the National Suicide Hotline, if you need help, God,
You
this
can't reach out
probably
to a
helped
family
a lot.
or reach out to a friend or one of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
If you don't have those things, remember
And
this.
even if someone is going through it and they don't feel that they need to,
Yes.
lauracanead@gmail.com,
And you can write right to Erik.
and
Yeah.
I'll answer anything.
Yes.
Any of us. I mean,
Yeah.
we're always here.
Yeah, especially when it's still fresh. You know, there's. I thought a lot about what we were going to do for a holiday show, and I know it's depressing, but it's just a part of life, and it's so. There were literally times where I would think, I've never had a thought of suicide ever, and there was one point after this where every day that I woke up, I wasn't able to really mourn my mom's death because every time I turned around, there was something
Business
Some
to
drama
handle,
thing.
business.
Something
Yeah, and you
dramatic.
had to close
Right.
the house. And,
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm not into that. I'm not into drama and turmoil and things like that. And
you were in it for a while.
I
after.
was.
Yeah.
And at one point I just thought, I can't do this anymore. I just want to go and be with my parents. I just can't. I cannot keep this up.
But that's when you'd make more calls to us. Like, I knew we would
Correct.
get the
And
calls
friends
and
and
calls and
everybody.
calls.
Yeah.
Yes.
And there's no shame in that.
Well,
There's
because if
no
you're
one
thinking it, the person who's your friend probably is thinking it as well. Like, it's pretty consistent
Right.
with that. It's not, you're not alone.
No, and you know, my
whatever it is.
thing was, you know, I thought, God, I don't want to call my friends and stuff. They've all got their own stuff that they're dealing with, you know, life in general and holidays and stuff. And so I internalized a lot of it. And then,
But a lot of your phone calls came to us, and you wouldn't have to say much, and we
Right.
knew you were still grieving. And when I would answer, and I'd say, "Are you okay today?" And you'd say, "No," and we would just cry, and no words would be said, but we knew we were sharing that with
Right.
you. You know, we
Yeah.
knew we were there to keep an eye on you.
yeah. So, I mean, I think the National Suicide Hotline is a wonderful tool, and
Okay.
Yeah.
That number is 1-800-273-8255. It's 800-273-8255. Erik, that was huge of you to share that with us. I mean, that's your deepest, most innermost thoughts.
yeah.
And your
to
pain
share
and your
that
journey, and your
with
mom's
so many
health.
people, you have no idea how many people you have helped.
Well, I hope so.
You
You know.
really,
You
really
do,
have.
If it's one person,
If it's
Just
one
someone-
person,
someone's
that's-
parent who's going through cancer, or maybe a baby, or a cousin or a sister, that journey alone, a sick parent or a sick family member, is
Well, and there's all sorts of losses. You can have the loss of a relationship, the loss of a job,
or a pet.
the loss of a pet, whatever, that could really
take you down a path that you're not expecting.
Right.
Emotions come out of nowhere.
And
you could be driving down the freeway in a billboard, or someone could say something on the radio that could trigger you.
Well, I was driving into La Jolla the other day, and it was during the storm, and there was just this rainbow, and I just burst into tears. I mean, it was one of those things. And so I think the holidays are so hard for people for just a number of reasons. And so it's, reaching out is not...
Reach out to somebody. Reach out.
To anyone.
Well, because the holidays encompass family and memories.
Right.
And
just
family
reach out
and
to
memories.
someone.
So when the deaths happen around those times, well, that just took that memory away.
Some people become shut-ins after something like that. Like I know after my mom passed,
isolate.
I do. I didn't want to see anybody. I didn't want to do anything.
And you're allowed that time.
You are.
allowed
You
to
are. You
kind of
need to
lick
grieve.
those wounds
You have
and
to
kind of
grieve.
put yourself back together.
Yeah.
When it's a parent you identify, or that is your world, or even if it isn't, a parent symbolizes that family.
Yeah.
Well,
And everybody reacts differently, but it's just so important to know that nobody's alone. And the world today is just
alone.
so.
No, you're not.
It seems like there's so many easy ways out to do things, and I think what is so important to know is that if you're contemplating doing something as final as suicide, it doesn't. It just hurts everybody around you.
Yeah.
There's it's not it's not
imagine.
an easy way out. It just destroys everyone around you, and so really reach out and
that's where depression can take you, though. It can take you to that hopeless feeling, and and we're here for them. Or whoever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing this on Laura Keene After Dark.
Of course.
It was a really big deal, and I know you've helped people, Eric.
I hope
and
so.
I love you so much, and it's so good to get to know you better. And Linda, your segment's next, whatever that's going to be.
Oh boy.
We're going to get something out of you. But anyway, I love you guys so much.
I love you too.
I love you, Eric.
Love you both.
Love you more than anything.
Show, Laura.
I love you, my babies.
And I love that T-shirt you're wearing.
Oh my! Okay.
This is the sense of humor that she had that you have. There it is.
We mask with humor. We mask with humor.
In the throes of darkness.
We mask with humor. That's a thing. It's a thing.
It is.
Yes.
I have to read this to you because I actually made a screenshot because on Facebook it gives you the memories, and on Thanksgiving, right before we this was a year before, so this was in 2015. We were on the way to my brother's house. I was driving my mom up there for Thanksgiving. And I said, my Facebook post was, and I've saved all these because friends have said after my mom passed, they said, you've got to write a book because your mom was hilarious. The two of you together were hilarious. So I said, well, on the way to my brother's, something blew across the freeway and I ran over it. I said, oh my God, what the hell was that? And my mom's response, oh dear Lord, I hope it wasn't a body. And we're not even there yet. So that's the kind of...
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you for that.
Thanks, Eric. Love you guys.
Love